Okay, and we are live. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat now. Joining us all the way from Toronto, Canada, we have Dorota. And within this session, she's going to be looking at forget networking and embrace relationships. So, Dorota, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, John. And hi, everyone. Please say hi and introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you're based. So I always found it amazing how easy it is for children to make friends and create a new connection. I remember when I was on a playground with my 4-year-old nephew, watching him playing with other kids. Then he ran up to me and asked, "Can I go to my friend's house now to play?" And it sounds completely normal, right? If not for the fact that he knew this friend just for 20 minutes. Yeah, sure, no problem, buddy. Go ahead. Well, at least he asked, right? And I think the ability to just reach out with open heart, the trust, curiosity, and honesty are the things we lose as an adult. It's way harder to make new friends or create deep connections as a professional. And it would feel quite awkward to ask a person we've just met, "Wanna be my friend?" Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name's Dorota. I'm based in Toronto, and today I want to talk about what I've learned about building meaningful connections as an adult. And I'm also going to tell you how you can replace the "wanna be my friend" question, so bear with me. Oh, I see people joining from all over the world. Hi. So yeah, let me tell you about my journey. Some of you may know I was born and raised in Poland. When I was 19, I moved across the country 500 kilometers away from my family to attend a university in a beautiful city called Wrocław, of which you can see the picture at the very top right corner. A year later, I moved to France for a year. I came back to Poland after that just to finish my degree, and then I moved to Dublin, Ireland. I didn't really enjoy the rain there, so I decided I need to move to a sunnier place. After doing a bit of reading, I moved to Canada in 2019, where I live now. Each city or country I moved to was a completely new place to me, where I didn't know anybody. It was challenging enough to learn about cultural differences, surroundings, how things work. And making friends and professional connections on top of that was a completely different challenge to me. I have to tell you that in each country, I found people who are my friends or mentors until now. We can be from different nations, but we all have this desire for connection. When I saw this photograph, it made me pause and appreciate its beauty. The eyes, the attention that this person seems to give you, it feels as they speak to you. Most of the time, to make a connection, it's not about the words, but the attention, presence, and listening. Okay, so how did I manage to meet people and what did I learn from them? Let's start with Poland, my home country. Let me know in the chat if you've ever been there. When you ask a Polish person how they are, they will tell you exactly how they are. You know how it feels when you go into an elevator and someone says, "How was your weekend?" It could have been the best weekend ever. You could have met the love of your life, or you could have cried because your dog passed away, and you would just say, "Good, how was yours?" Well, it's not like that in Poland. People there are honest. They will tell you stories about their family, complain, and talk about their recent experiences, even those sad ones. Which is one of my points. If you want to connect with people, then you have to open up, have a deep conversation. Reliability. If you need them, your Polish friend will always be there for you. And when you ask them, what do they think about your new shirt, they'll give you a compliment. And then if they don't love it, they'll tell you how to style it better. My last point is, we have a saying in Poland that goes, "A guest in the house, God in the house." Polish hospitality is amazing. If you've ever gotten an invite from a Polish person to visit them, they really meant it. I still remember the weekends that I spent at my friend's house when I knew them only for a couple of hours. Et voilà, France! How many of you had a chance to visit this beautiful country? I can't count how many meals I cooked with different groups of friends during my stay in France. Raclette, crêpes, French baguette sandwiches, quiche. French people love to spend time with friends and family members, preparing food and enjoying it. During the weekday, the time between noon and 2 p.m., so like 2 hours, is often spent on eating out with colleagues or friends. They pause and relax, sometimes even by sitting alone in the cafe and talking to strangers. They like to take their time and enjoy the process. When I first arrived in France, I found French lack of concern odd, but also refreshing. I remember when I was walking down the street, looking at buildings, surroundings, cute boutiques, and then in one of the windows, I saw a piece of paper with a note. If you don't plan to buy anything here, please do not come in. Honesty, expressing emotions and just not caring what others might think. As a person who was raised to be proper, polite, having others in mind, especially as a girl, I found it really amusing. What I learned from French people is to give yourself a break. In a relationship or friendship, it's not only about others, but also about you. How do you feel around the person you spend your time with? Do they help you to become a better version of yourself? I love Irish people and their pubs. Irish don't treat themselves too seriously and they appreciate relaxing, fun environment. I want to tell you a story about my second month in Ireland. I was at work and I entered the kitchen area and a couple of people there were talking and I overheard one manager asking another, "So, did you have some crack during the weekend?" And I froze, like nobody reacted to what he said, not a blink of an eye. So I thought, okay, wow, they're really open about drugs here. Then luckily for me, I came across this word again and I realized crack is an Irish word for fun. Same pronunciation, just different spelling. What I also loved there, which at first I found quite unusual, is the ability and openness of Irish people to make friends and go to a party, a pub or club with a person from another generation or even with your parents, just to hang out, have fun and potentially get drunk, which with my Polish mindset at the time was crazy. Like in Poland, when you think about it, what? You party with your parents? So the concept of having a real friend who's way older or younger than me seemed to be cherished there, and it really changed my perspective on friendships. In this country, I also discovered a power of vulnerability, taking initiative, reaching out, and showing your true self to another person. And that's how I met my friend Nicola. She was attending a training session that my L&D team organized for a group of companies. During the 30 minutes when we were waiting for the session to start, we had an amazing conversation, similar interests, so many topics to discuss, we connected like immediately. But then once the trainer arrived, I had to come back to the office. And I was battling with myself if I should reach out somehow, but I really wanted to chat with her again. So really cringing inside, I sent her an invite on LinkedIn. And I'm really happy that I did, because we met many times after that. And now, even if we're 5,000 kilometers apart, she's still in Dublin. She's one of my best friends, and I can't imagine not having her in my life. And Canada, my favorite country ever. That's the first time when I really felt like home. Any people living in Canada in the audience? I have so many stories of awesome people I've met here, but sadly we don't have have time for that. I can at least tell you about the most common situations when I've met them and we bonded, which were quite new to me. First thing to learn was moving from the Polish, perhaps even European mindset of being independent, self-sustainable, or self-reliant to community and supporting each other. People living in Canada truly want to help you, meet with you, and point in the right direction. There are also many opportunities to receive help and provide support to other people. Volunteering is very common here as a practice of giving back to the community and creating bonds. And through volunteering, I discovered that it's one of the best ways to meet friends. You work together towards something, not expecting anything in return. It creates this unique, meaningful bonds. Introductions, again, very common practice here. And let me tell you a story about the person who's a master introducer. During my first few months in Canada, I attended many events and mixers. One day I met Adrian. We had a nice chat, and knowing I'm new to the city, she offered to introduce me to some of the people she thought would be good for me to meet. After our meeting, our LinkedIn and email messages went crazy. Throughout a few months, she actually introduced me to a bunch of people who I've met, and some of them became my friends, and we still talk on a regular basis. From some of them, I also received job offers or referrals, which is pretty cool, right? In Canada, I also discovered a real power of LinkedIn if used properly. I had so many situations when I've met someone, we connected on LinkedIn, and this person later on shared or liked an event. I decided to join the event where I meet my new close friend or a mentor. And that's actually how I came across the GLDC meetup back in July last year, when I've met more friends or even future co-workers. And thanks to that, I'm here today speaking to you, which I would never think I'd done. That's a really big deal for me. And I saw this really funny visual on how to make friends as an adult. Again, it connects to reaching out, vulnerability, and humility. It's not about making yourself look awesome. It can be more effective to praise the other person in order to become closer, but it's still not the best way to make a friend. So remember when I told you as an adult, it will be quite awkward to just ask, wanna be my friend? Well, I think we can actually replace that with a simple question. Wanna hang out? Initiate a meeting, a call, or text someone to chat. Spending time together, sharing experiences and stories bring us closer. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt the connection with someone and you followed up, initiated a meeting or a chat? It's not easy to break your comfort zone, but I want to give you a task. It will sound simple, but it can feel as a challenge. So each week, reach out to one person, just one person, you enjoyed your time spending your time with, but haven't talked with them in the last 3 months or longer, or perhaps someone you've met but didn't have time to follow up. Even simple, hey, how are you doing lately? We haven't talked in a while, wanna hang out or have a chat someday. That's it, that's all I ask. Brené Brown spent years researching leadership and making meaningful connections. She discovered that vulnerability is one of the core conditions for the deep connection to exist. Vulnerability is the core of shame and fear and our struggle for worthiness, but it appears that it's also the birthplace of joy, of creativity, of belonging, of love. We need to let ourselves be seen, deeply seen, vulnerably seen. And it's not easy, I still work on it. What I've noticed though, when I started sharing my struggles with people, for example, with my mentor, our partnership transformed. It was more meaningful, interesting, and useful. Also, when you open to another person and share your flaws and struggles, most likely they will do the same and they will tell you their stories you haven't realized or experienced. However, it also doesn't mean oversharing with someone deeply personal things on the first meeting. The best way to start is self-disclosure, sharing something personal. Which brings me to another part, your connection circle. In the middle, there's me, who I am now, the roles I play in people's lives. My circle represents my friends, family members, colleagues, mentors, partners, acquaintances, and last one, who I'm aspiring to be, my future self. I think this visual is really a great way to reflect about your future and even take some notes and plan. Look at your circle and try to attract people into your life who you would like to become someday, who seem to resemble your future self, your aspirations. One of the most common ways in today's world to attract those people into our lives seem to be LinkedIn. Which brings me to another point. Technology has made it easier to communicate, but it hasn't made it easier to connect with other human beings. Nothing can really replace a personal touch. So, what are some other ways to do it? The most meaningful connections are created through shared experiences. Also, when you don't look for connections with the only focus so you can profit from them. When it comes to building relationships, you get what you give. Bring a value exchange to people you're connecting with that enables deeper connections, such as volunteering, for example, on a project that will make someone's jobs easier. Another way is mentoring someone or being mentored. Clubs for hobbies or joining professional institutes or chapters. And of course, GLDC meetups. That's why we are all here. Look at what we've created. How many amazing people are here just waiting for you to reach out. Meetup.com, they have so many fun groups. And I actually saw this Corgi meetup group. I love the idea of it. So of course I had to put it in my slide. There are cooking meetups, walking meetups, dancing, skiing, soccer, painting, anything you can imagine. And you can also create your own meetup group if you want to. Eventbrite is the site I used a lot for events, mixers, and to find things to do or experience with friends or just to broaden my circle. There are many events free of charge. And of course, Facebook groups where you can meet people with shared passions from your neighborhood, club, or just people new to the city. LinkedIn. I heard so many examples of people who just reach out to someone to have a chat and ask for advice. They didn't know each other before, but they've met and now they're actually friends and they go on trips together, which is crazy. And all the ways listed here I used before and also during the pandemic, so you can still use them virtually or while social distancing outdoors. Opportunities are unlimited. It's only about what you do with them. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Wow, what a story indeed. Ladies and gents, show your appreciation with an emoji. Please do get on board. Such an incredible journey. We're at the point in the presentation where we've got some questions for you. So
yeah, great.
The first one comes from the wonderful Malcolm Carter. He asked, "You are such a natural speaker, great stories. What has been the most challenging part about your total journey?"
I think at first, at the beginning, I think it was I mean, the challenges, they varied, but I'd say for me, for making what really challenged me at the beginning was the language barrier. So in Poland, we don't speak English, we speak Polish. And I learned English throughout like my childhood and university. My degree was in English. But then when I moved to Dublin, or it was quite challenging, especially with the accent. And it really, I had this barrier to talk with people, to actually reach out. And I think the biggest barrier for me, the biggest challenge was to change my mindset that sometimes it's not even being correct or proper in terms of your pronunciation or the way you speak, because people want to get to know you. They don't really, I mean, some people might judge you, but typically they want to hear your story. They want to get to know you. They like your personality. It's not about like how you speak, what kind of words you use. So I think changing my mindset to from not speaking because I'm afraid of making mistake to just reaching out to people and talking to them, I'd say that was one of the biggest challenges for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other day I saw something really wonderful whereby it said if you work with somebody with an accent, it shows bravery.
Mm,
It really is. We've
yeah.
got one more question. Arini, she says, what has been your greatest highlight so far?
Mm. Highlight, like professionally or personally? I think.
Why not go both? Give the crowd what they want. Go both.
Personally, the biggest highlight, I think even having people like personally, it's a big thing for me. Actually, the like making meaningful connections, it's one of the top of my values, what's important in my life. And I think the biggest highlight would be in my life, like the personal things, would be that I was able to meet people in Canada who are really my close friends, and I would never think it's possible in such a short period of time, or even during the pandemic. Some of those people I met through GLDC, so thank you, John. But some people I just presented you with some of the options, and I met them through volunteering, even virtually. We had meetings, and I think that's one of the big highlights for me, that even during the pandemic, I wasn't able even like to go out of my condo, of my apartment. I was still able to meet friends and make like really deep connections. And then professionally, I'd say even like speaking here, it's a big thing for me, just having this opportunity and being brave enough to speak in front of you. I'd say this is completely different, and I heard that people saying even during yesterday's sessions, people said. It's different when you deliver training, and it's different when you speak during a conference, especially in front of L&D people who really know the best practice, and some of them are really amazing speakers. So it's a completely different thing, and I think being able to do it, it's one of the biggest things for me. And again, it's thanks to the connections I had, because a couple of people, they actually encouraged me, like, you should speak. And I was hesitating because I wasn't sure, is there anything I can actually talk about? At the time I was like, no, I don't think so, because there's so many experts in here. But I think, those are two highlights for me.
Well, they were very right for encouraging you. Very right indeed. We don't have any more questions, but there's kind of a quote not a quote, a mention in the chat that I think is a really great way to kind of round this off. So from David Gilbert, Dorota is so inspiring. I remember meeting her at her first I4PL in-person meetup, and now she's presenting a global L&D conference about networking. # awesome source.
Oh, thank you, David.
A lot of
Yeah,
love.
I think I don't remember who was that who actually posted something on LinkedIn. I think it was David. I might be wrong, but I think he posted GLDC link back in July, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna join. So yeah, you never know who you meet, and yeah, I agree. It was nice meeting you too. And yeah, thank you.
Go. Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that has been your session today for Forget Networking and Embrace Relationships with Dorota. Should you ever wish to grab this again, you can do on the replay. But for now, please, with the emojis, give her a great round of applause. Such a fantastic presentation. Something that I loved about the presentation was the want to hang out. Well, now you can hang out. You can mosey on down to the lounge, meet some people, and get on board with the networking to maybe meet your new best friend. But, ladies and gents, that was Dorota.
Yeah, thank you, John, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you, John.